Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Final week of October. Halloween is Thursday, right? It is Thursday. Okay. So, I want to talk a little bit about the Indiana Fever and the potential new head coach now that Christie Sides has officially been let go. I know the odds are, the rumors are, the talk is that it's going to be Stephanie White coming back to the Indiana Fever. They're getting the old band back together again. Don't know that that's always a great idea, but she has proven herself in the last couple of years to be a good head coach in Connecticut. However, there are some other names being put out that I would like to talk about, as well as why I think most of them are bad choices. We're going to get into that in a minute. But first, for those, I think I used this as a thumbnail for a video the other day, but here is that clip. For those of you that don't remember, I know now, look, I was off the sides train probably long before this, but for those of you that weren't, was this your moment? Let me know in the comments below. Was this your moment when you said, hey, you know what? I think maybe Christie Sides has to go. That is not a happy little team. I'm gonna play for you one more time. I want to slow mo it a little bit. Maybe you can catch the facial expressions. I'm gonna try and blow it up. You might not see this. Sometimes they don't allow you to make the it bigger, but it is only 10 seconds. The sound's also. Hopefully, you get a chance to check this out. But these these are players. Remember that awful loss to Chicago. None of them look happy. Katie Lou is kind of coming in like, "Yo, coach, sorry, I'm on Caitlin's side. Aaliyah's on Caitlin's side. Temmie's on Caitlin's side." I think this was also a moment for a lot of people when it was like, yeah, look, earlier in the season there were some issues. They didn't go do what they should have done to protect Caitlin Clark, but they're starting to kind of rally around her as they get to know her and what she brings to the game. So anyway, I want to get into the coaching a little bit. We now have what, 6 teams without a head coach. 6 teams, half the league has fired their coach. Atlanta Dream, Chicago Sky, Dallas Wings, Indiana Fever, LA Sparks, Washington Mystics, and if Stephanie White does go elsewhere, such as Indiana, that would also then leave the Connecticut Sun without a head coach. Here's another question I have for you before we move on to some of these potential replacements that are not Stephanie White. If there was no Caitlin Clark, again, this goes back for me to the impact Caitlin Clark has on the WNBA. Answer this question for me in the comments below. If there was no Caitlin Clark and no one was paying attention to the WNBA, it has just been the way it's been. Do you think all these teams would have fired their coaches? Or do you think that there's at least a little bit of a motivation with all the new eyes on the league for them to focus more on presenting themselves in a different way with a better package and winning some games and trying to draw more fans permanently to these other teams as well? Do you think, I mean, we're talking half the league, folks. Half the league is replacing their coaches after, and don't forget, 8 teams make the playoffs, right? Atlanta Dream made the playoffs. Indiana Fever made the playoffs. Washington Mystics, after starting 0-12, came within a game of making the playoffs. And then I think Chicago Sky was what, 2 games? So it's a lot of change for this league. Now, there's something really interesting too. Pay attention. I have 2 articles up that talk about 3 head coaches the Fever should hire. 2 different writers. And you'll understand here in a minute. Now, First of all, here we go. This is just the statement. We talked about this. This is the Indiana Fever. We're incredibly thankful to Coach Sides for embracing the challenge of leading us through an integral transition period over the last 2 seasons, while also positioning us well for future growth. While decisions like these are never easy, it is also imperative that we remain bold and assertive in the pursuit of our goals, which includes maximizing our talent and bringing another WMA championship back to Indiana. Maximizing our talent. I think we can all agree that was a big issue with Christie Sides, that she did not only did not maximize Caitlin Clark's talent and the rest of the team by using Caitlin Clark correctly, she held her back. Now, check out these three coaches. So, okay, Stephanie White, we get it, right? That's the big name that's out there. That's what a lot of people are hoping are going to happen. That's what even more people think are going to happen. She's from Indiana. She spent a lot of time in the Fever organization. She's been the head coach. She's taken them to the finals. So Stephanie White, that is an obvious choice. That seems to be the choice. This is a clip I played for you the other day. This is where it kind of all fell apart a few days ago, where it seemed almost like it was inevitable then that Christie Sides was going to get let go once it gets out to the public. Again, really unprofessional by the Indiana Fever, I hate to say, but once it gets out to the public that while you have a head coach, you're looking at another head coach. Yeah, that's not a good look. So boom, Christie Sides gets fired. Lisa Bluter. Now this is the one that's a long shot. I know a lot of people would like to see this as well. I wouldn't say I'd be totally surprised, as I mentioned here. And I did a video way back where apparently there was a private meeting between Bluter and the Fever front office. I believe it was actually the owner of the Indiana Fever that flew out and saw Lisa Bluter. They might have just been talking about approaches with Caitlin Clark and this and that. But hey, maybe it was laying the groundwork for, hey, if at the end of the season we decide to switch coaches, are you interested? We haven't heard a thing since, other than those like myself and many of you are like, yeah, how cool would that be to have Lisa Bluter be the coach? So this is a long shot. Now here you go, folks. Teresa Weatherspoon. Can you imagine that? Now, this to me seems like a little bit of gaslighting. Again, we know that the media is trash. The sports media has been absolutely horrifically bad all season long when it comes to Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Disgusting nonsense that they put out day in and day out. And so to me, this is kind of like a little bit of gaslighting. They want to get this momentum for a coach that would be an absolute horrible fit for Caitlin Clark, a coach that was cool with Caitlin Clark being assaulted by Kennedy Carter during the game. And they say it because she's one of the best guards, as a player, one of the best guards in NBA history. And Clark is one of the best guards now. And there's just some wacko stuff in here. It says let go as head coach after missing the playoffs, but the team quite frankly overachieved given a lack of overall talent. Overachieved. They had a much worse record than last year. They completely fell apart. They had the number 3 pick in the draft, the number 7 pick in the draft. They had Kennedy Carter, who was playing despite not making it, playing like an all NBA, all WNBA shooting guard. And that somehow they didn't have the type of talent that they needed to run the coach's system. But Clark apparently would be a perfect fit for Teresa Weatherspoon. Absolutely insane. You know what? I gotta laugh because I almost kind of now want to see it just to see what the reaction would be from all of us. That would talk about things to talk about. That would be that would be absolutely nuts. And then, of course, they threw in at the end as a bonus Cheryl Miller. Again, someone a lot of us have talked about, I think would be awesome, but she's not going to take the job. And again, to this, I don't understand how this person is writing this. They said that it felt more like just trying to associate her with her brother, Reggie Miller, who spent his entire career with the Indiana Pacers. I've never heard anyone talk about that. We've all talked about we wanted Cheryl Miller as a coach for Caitlin Clark because of what she would bring as the individual person, Cheryl Miller. to the coaching position for the Indiana Fever. I have not heard anyone say, well, we should get Cheryl Miller because her brother played for the Pacers. That's absurd. But so check this out. Is this the one? I think this is the right one. Fever's best WNBA head coach options to maximize Caitlin Clark after historic rookie season. Another maximize. They all want to maximize Caitlin Clark. This from a different reporter. So hey, folks, check it out. Another sports media person who we all know, in all likelihood, not a Caitlin Clark fan, definitely doesn't like Caitlin Clark's fans, recommending the train wreck of Teresa Witherspoon, who we know completely unprofessional, walks out of press conferences when she gets basic questions she doesn't like, laughs and celebrates with her players when they commit flagrant fouls against players she doesn't like. This is an encapsulation. Teresa Witherspoon is an encapsulation of all the problems with the WNBA. Overly emotional, can't control herself, can't handle herself professionally, completely unprofessional in all capacities as a head coach, can't deal with the media and basic questions. This is the WNBA the way it has been and the way it can no longer and will no longer be, because we will not allow it to be that, because we are basketball fans. The WNBA now has basketball fans. So again, same nonsense. It was the injury fault, and despite the injury, she led the Sky to a 13-27 record. They fought for a playoff spot, ultimately falling just short. So that's pretty interesting stuff. I find it odd, of all coaches, that we've got multiple people in the media recommending Teresa Witherspoon to coach. She did a tremendous job developing rookies Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso, which would translate well to a young Indiana roster. She destroyed the Chicago Sky by focusing on a player in Angel Reese who can get rebounds and do nothing else. And she held back the development of an actual talent in Camila Cardoso, who could be a heck of a WNBA player, is far, far better than Angel Reese. So no, no. I'm just going to say no. Rebecca Brunson, assistant, Minnesota Lynx, no head coaching experience. Would it be terrible? I don't know that it would be terrible, because sometimes you take a chance on a young coach who doesn't have any experience and it works out. I don't think that is the risk you take with Caitlin Clark, a generational player like Caitlin Clark, where the clock is ticking and you want to maximize her entire career. Rebecca Brunson has never been a head coach in the WNBA. She's been an assistant coach 5 seasons. She's five-time champion in her playing days, right? I have nothing against Rebecca as a player, and she could end up being a good head coach in some point in the future. But here are the two issues I have. One, I just mentioned, with not wasting time with Caitlin Clark and her career on a completely unproven coach. And then also it goes back to what I was just saying about the WNBA when I said all these coaches getting fired, that this is the same old, same old. This is that cycle. Let's just keep hiring women who have played in the WNBA and make them head coaches, even though they have no coaching experience. They probably don't know how to be a coach, but we're going to keep it in this club, which is what we get here again. Christy Tolliver. Again, nothing against Christy Tolliver. She's been an assistant in the NBA. While she was playing, folks, she just finished her career at the end of 2023. So she's right off of that, and then she's been this past year. She was an assistant for the Phoenix Mercury. Again, nothing against her. Only 37. 6 years. I couldn't remember. Here's the article. 6 years as an NBA assistant coach. Won this past season with the Phoenix Mercury. Just finished playing in 2023. Again, could be a fantastic coach someday. Could be somewhere else right now. I don't know. But I say the same things I say with Rebecca Brunson. I don't know that this is where you want to go with, again, the recycling within the club of the WNBA, of getting these ex-players and quickly turning them into head coaches despite having no experience, and the fact that you don't want to waste a single second of Caitlin Clark's career. Now, one more I want to get to, because the one I want to talk about that I liked here. Now, these are more obvious ones. We've got Stephanie White. Here we go. I want to scroll down to see it. the long shot again, Cheryl Miller, but Kurt Miller. And a lot of people aren't talking about Kurt Miller, which I find odd because, yeah, I know you say, oh, he was just fired, Los Angeles Sparks. They had two pretty bad seasons. Yeah, they were a terrible team. They were tanking this year. They had injuries. He didn't have much of a roster. It was a team that was just building. I think they actually let him go kind of early. And again, I don't know if he gets let go, if 24 WNBA is the same as 23 WNBA without Caitlin Clark. The man spent 7 years as a coach with the Sun. He was 140 in 86, deep playoff runs, reached the finals in 2022, the year before Stephanie White got there. So keep that in mind. Stephanie White had a terrible record at Vanderbilt, goes to the Connecticut Sun with a team that just was in the WNBA finals the year before, and they don't get back. So keep that in mind. So I'll just show you real quick. Kurt Miller, right? Connecticut Sun. First year he was 14 and 20. Next year he was 21 and 13. He was coach of the year that year. Then again, 21 and 13, 23 and 11. The Corona Beer year, a little slide back, 10 and 12. That's not much of a season. The next year, boom, bounces back, 26 and 6. Coach of the year again for the second time. The next year, 25 and 11, Eastern Conference champions. They go to the finals, and then he goes to the Los Angeles Sparks. So he's a proven winner over a number of years. He's a guy who clearly has no problem with Caitlin Clark. We've seen her, him joke with her in a game. I think he said something like when she was checking back in, he said something like that she didn't have to go back into the game or something like that with a smile on his face. So, but hey, look, it's most likely going to be Stephanie White. I wanted to point out the Teresa Weatherspoon stuff because it's just kind of amusing that you got that from multiple media people. I would love, look, and I've had this conversation with some people that are like, man, it's the Fever, it's Caitlin Clark. They want to make a splash. Stop recycling the same old unproven people and giving them head coaching jobs. I get it, man. Let's see Larry Bird. How about get Larry, do whatever it takes and get Larry Bird out of retirement, even if it's for a season or two. Can you imagine the anticipation? Go get Cheryl Miller. Get Lisa Bluter, man. Get Coach K. Resurrect Dean freaking Smith. Come on, man. But look, it's probably going to be Stephanie White, and she could do a good job. I would love to see a splash, though. I'd love to see, someone similar to the names I just mentioned, someone who creates a lot of anticipation for the 2025 season, something that is different from the way the WNBA has always done things, something outside of the WNBA club of recycled female coaches that were players without coaching experience that, frankly, outside of a few, haven't been all that good. So please stop making the same mistakes, Indiana Fever. Kelly, are you listening to me? Please pay attention. Stop hiring the same people. It is a new league, dawn of a new day for the WNBA, because the real fans are here to stay, and we are going to make you make changes. Got it? Dawn of a new day, not the same thing as Dawn of the Dead. Quite good, actually. I love that movie. Those zombies do kind of remind me a little bit of the WNBA, so maybe it is the same thing. But look, Kelly, Amber, be different, be daring, be bold, make real change. Get people fired up for 2025. Look, Fever and Pacer ownership have the money. Open up the pockets. Bring in a real coach for a generational talent that is going to change the league. Don't waste Caitlin Clark's first 5 years and then spend the next 5 rebuilding the roster. Strike now. She will only become more powerful. At least until Disney buys the Fever and destroys everything. Oh, if that's not going to happen, if we're going to recycle the same old, then I suggest one other bold move, folks. You heard it here first. Hire Gabby Marshall. And then, yeah, you can bring in Kate Martin as a player if you want. Hire Gabby Marshall. Make her the next head coach of the Indiana Fever. You heard it here first. Because, look, at the end of the day, Christie Sides, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. Take the long two out of town. on the last train to Clarksville. This gives you time to take some time off, work on that smoking voice you got going. Go smoke some butts, drink some Mad Dog 2020 with the VP, have a good time, recharge your batteries. Someone will find a home for you. Maybe the Dallas Wings will hire you. That will be an interesting first Fever Wings matchup in 2025. Let me know. Wow, I thought this was going to be a short video. Sorry about that. Let me all know if you're still here. Thanks for listening. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the coaching situation of the Indiana Fever. I really do appreciate you checking this out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out tremendously, and I will talk to you later.